Hi, it's Ileana, and today I am going to ask Source Creator some questions about the abduction experiences I had when I was close to 4 years old in Ukraine, Kharkov, and what I remember being abducted by the Black Drazo reptilians and the Sharab Invictus yellow-green reptilians an underground base. I think it was a dumb space in Rostov. So I'm going to ask Source Creator what that was all about because I remember my blood being poisoned, my autoimmune system being damaged, and almost dying as a little kid, ending up in the hospital for 3 weeks with paralysis, a fever, and a mystery virus that nobody could diagnose. They did blood work. They could not diagnose what this virus was. This was in the late 80s. I believe I was abducted between 1989 to 1990 when this was happening. So I'm going to ask Source Creator questions about this. It felt very real to me. I was in my bedroom as a child in the crib, was taken through a black portal by the Black Drazo reptilian who looked like a soldier in a black suit, scales. It did not look like a living being masquerading itself in some type of a dinosaur suit with zippers. It looked nothing like that. There was no seams, no zippers, nothing on these beings. They looked like reptilians. So we'll ask Source Creator what all of this was about in the Source Creator questions. So Source Creator, what were these reptilians, the Black Drazo reptilian and the Sharab Invictus reptilian, that were doing experiments on me and had taken me from Kharkov, Ukraine, underground dumb space to Rostov? What were these beings and what were they doing to me? Ileana, these are biological reptiloid type reptilians who are not native to Earth at all. They are not from Earth, but they took advantage of these underground dumb spaces underneath Rostov. There's tunnel systems going from underneath Ukraine to Rostov. There always have been tunnel systems, and there's always been secret laboratories under Ukraine leading to Rostov, leading to other parts of Russia. So this is nothing new. There's always been experimental facilities under the Ukraine, under Russia. So where you were taken was indeed a dumb space, and these facilities are loaned out to beings of non-human origin, doing experimentation on children, on grown-ups. These ones that were experimenting on you, the Black Drazo, they are not Alpha Draconians and they are not Draco Reptilians. They're a subset of the reptilian species. They are called the Black Drazo, and the smaller ones, the ones that were below 14 feet, because the Black Drazo were from 14 to 16 feet, and the Sharab Invictus were about 12 feet. They're two different subsets of reptilians. The Black Drazo are a soldier type that do the retrievals of the children, and the Sharab Invictus are the experimenters. They are the biologists, if you will, who do the human experiments on children. The blood, the immune system, the autoimmune system, they literally infect biological agents into the bloodstream of the children to damage the blood, to erode human biological components within the body. So this is what they were trying to do to you, to erode your immune system, your protection that protects you from any types of viruses from being infected. They put a biological agent of nanite technology, minuscule technology that nobody would find in your bloodstream, to erode your immune system, to literally try to evaporate your blood. You felt your blood was boiling, overheating, your body was overheating. This is why you had a high fever after these experimental events happened to you, and you ended up in the hospital, paralyzed for 3 weeks with a high fever, unable to speak or move your body, because you were infected with an unknown viral agent that was supposed to evaporate your immune system, erode it, destroy it, make you vulnerable to all the agents on Earth that can infect you naturally. But your body, as a Pleiadian Andromedan hybrid and a hybrid of the L race, has natural other genetic factors that protect you. They could not completely erode your immune system. They could not evaporate your blood from your body with this nanite infection agent, because your other genetics, off-world genetics from your previous lifetimes, protected you against these medical experiments completely succeeding. This is why you survived. You weren't part of the farming projects where children were abducted to be eaten alive. You are not part of those farming projects. This was a completely different experiment. It was a virology experiment. It was a biological laboratory that these reptilians were participating in. And yes, the human personnel in that dumb space under Rostov knew about this, the activities of the Sharab Invictus reptilians and the Black Drazo reptilians. And yes, it was a real black portal that transported you to these underground tunnel systems going into the dumb space under Rostov. This experience was real. It was part of a genetic project to, again, see if these reptilians could eradicate human immune systems, literally degrade the blood system, the circulatory respiratory system, the blood vessels, to try to explode blood vessels, to contaminate the blood itself with the nanite viral agent infection that almost did kill you. But your other off-world genetics is what saved you. And this is what you were seeking an answer to and never knew the answer to, why you still are alive to this day and what kept you alive. That is the answer. It is the off-world genetics you have from previous lifetimes that protected you from this malevolent incursion on your human body by these reptilians. And they are reptilians. They're not humanoid species of saurians. They do have their own spaceships, and the Sharab Invictus are literally like succubi. They collect energy from humans, not just blood, immune system, infection. They siphon off human energy from humans. They never got to that point in the experiment with you, their medical experiments, but they suck the energy through extracting human plasma from human beings. This is why you have needed human plasma to heal your blood, to heal your immune system from that viral infection of the nanite virological virus you were infected with, to clean the toxins of that viral infection. When human blood is literally being evaporated and the immune system eradicated, this leaves you fragile. This leaves you with neurological brain damage. This leaves you with a viral infection, literally, that you fight and struggle with for half of your life to heal and don't know how to. So the answer was human plasma to clean toxins. They almost took your human plasma. They almost drained you completely. So to reverse what they did, you applied human plasma as part of the healing process to heal yourself. You've been infusing yourself with human plasma to remove toxins from your body, because your plasma that you currently have in your body with the blood does not regenerate itself correctly, because the immune damage that was done to you with that nanite virus. And it was not black goo. You would have been dead if they used black goo on you. It was not that. Your blood had been compromised. Your immune system had been compromised. Was not fully eradicated, but compromised. So the human plasma infusions you do on yourself is what helps to clean out the neurotoxins from your body that your natural plasma cannot fully eradicate from the system naturally. So the mechanisms of clean human plasma and infusions, the injections that you do, is what cleanses your body and heals you to this day. There is no coincidence for what you do in your healing processes and what you try to heal yourself, and the awareness that you bring with your information for others to learn from you. This is part of the healing. This is part of sharing your knowledge of what happened to you. And it was a real event. You were abducted several times by the Black Drazo and their Sharab Invictus. And there was a gray type humanoid being who was observing all of these experiments. He had hair. He was not a gray, but he is a humanoid hybrid that has gray genetics, but he is not the typical gray. He is not of the Orion grays or the Zeta Reticuli. He is a type of Shrab-Rob, Zreg, type of a humanoid with gray species hybridization programs and projects. But he is humanoid. He is not part of the grays, although he has some of their genetics. The Zrob, they are an infestation with humanoid genetics and gray genetics. They are harvester humanoid type beings who observe these medical experiments and collect the results of the projects. So they do work with the reptilians, but they are harvester collectors of medical information. They only observe these experiments. They don't participate in them, but they are culpable for the abductions. They are the ones that target the humans, the children. They are very selective in the medical specimens they want. They want to drain humans of human energy. They want to make humans weak and fragile, frail and sick. That was their intention of the Zrob, human harvesters, who look like humans, but are not humans. They have humanoid and gray genetics, but they are not human. That's why they have red eyes, and this is why they are extra tall, thin, look humanoid. They have hair, but they are not human. They are biological hybridized beings, not of human origin. who were working with the reptilians in the dumb spaces to conduct these human experiments on children. Again, you were not part of the farming experiments to eat children, but they did have the intention to drain human plasma and energy from your body later on. That was their malevolent intent. This is why they had the children set up in the cages and chained to the walls of this underground dumb space facility. They had those plans for those children who were malnourished, and they were in cages, and they were chained to the walls. So what you saw in that was also real. Those children were not being fed properly, so they were malnourished, as these entities do not allocate proper food, nutrition, or proper care for the children they were abducting. To them, they were experiments and nothing more. They were not treated humanely. So this is what was happening in the 1980s and the 1990s with children, with abductions and experiments. And it was not just children, it was adults as well, of various genetic factors that these abductors would choose for genetics, to study genetics of humans and how to hybridize humans with other races of beings to make stronger genetic material to inject in hybridization projects. That was the goal of the Sharabrab and the Zreg, the tall harvester being that you saw, humanoid-looking harvester being. That was their agenda. They had their own hybridization programs being run, even in conjunction and separate from the reptilian projects, to answer that question about what that being was doing there. Source creator, where do the Black Drowso reptilians and the Sharab Invictus succubus reptilians come from, as well as the Zrezrek harvester gray humanoid being? Ileana, the Black Drowso reptilians come from the Orion Empire, and so do the Sharab Invictus succubi reptilians. They all come from the dark portions of the Orion system. They come from deeper aspects of the Orion dark shadow groups that go even beyond the Draco-Reptilian Empire. So there are several factions of reptilian groups. There's the Alpha Draconians from Alpha Draconis. There's the Draco-Reptilians from the Orion Empire, from the Orion system, and Alpha Draconis is very close to the Orion system. There is the Zrezrek gray harvester type being that you had seen. It also comes from deep within the Orion system, just as many of the grays who were experimented on by the reptilians come from deep within the Orion system and the Empire, because they were enslaved by Draco-Reptilians and other warrior-type caste reptilian species under the control of the Draco. There's many different types of reptilian species. So this is a process of invasiveness that came to Earth with these experiments that these various groups of reptilians have done, because they're doing their virology medical experiment, virus projects. They were doing the farming of the humans, eating physical humans, children, doing blood experiments, doing genetic experiments, DNA harvesting, organ harvesting, studying human biology. They were doing all of that and other horrendous experiments on humans that were brought into the tunnel systems underground under Rostov, Ukraine, the US, and other places in Europe. This was prevalent back then. These types of experiments have ceased for the most part for eating humans, for eating human children. The medical experiments are very rare now. For the most part, they have ceased because reptilians are no longer welcomed, even by Earth governments, in anything that has to do with clandestine projects in the tunnel systems and the DUMS bases. Humans want nothing to do with these reptilian experiments to be allowed or sanctioned in underground bases or DUMS bases, because the humans will eventually, the elites, the shadow elites, will eventually be held culpable for all of this travesty and darkness that has been done against humanity. These are crimes against humanity, against children. So this is no longer sanctioned even by human governments, or even the shadow elites no longer want this on their dockets, because this would literally force them to admit culpability, that they signed treaties with these Draco reptilians and greys to allow this mass harvesting of humans on such a wide scale all over the planet during the 1950s. So this is now being dismantled, and to hide the evidence that it ever happened. The evidence is being suppressed and hidden, that these regressive reptilians and greys were even allowed to create these projects in the underground tunnel systems and bases. The elites don't want this out, that they've participated in human trafficking, harvesting of humans to negative extraterrestrial regressive species for genetic projects, medical experimentation, farming of humans. They don't want any of that to become public or to be held accountable for such crimes against humanity, and that is what that is and what happened. I hope I have answered your questions in what this was all about, this experimentation. Thank you, Source Creator. You have answered my questions in detail, and this explains a lot in what that was and why it was happening. Thank you.